Live from WSLS, this is 10 News at 6, working for you.
Now at 6, Mother Nature is wreaking havoc on the U.S. The wild winter weather causing the cancellation of many events across the country. Plus, the FAA is continuing their investigation of the Boeing 737 MAX 9 production line and its suppliers, how they're trying to ensure something like this doesn't happen ever again. And New River Valley firefighters rallying around one of their own, how the Radford Fire Department is supporting a local firefighter fighting terminal cancer. Good evening and thank you for joining us for 10 News at 6. I'm Sydney Jackstimer. A woman was found dead in a Staffordsville community cave right outside of Parisburg. Investigators with the Giles County Sheriff's Office tell us around 4 o'clock Friday evening, they received a call a woman had fallen into the cave. Rescue teams located the woman's body when they entered the cave and through DMV records identified her as 38-year-old Autumn Draper. Now, this is an ongoing investigation. The Nelson County Sheriff's Office is asking the public's help in finding 59-year-old Michael Leno, who you see here right on your screen. We're told he was last seen early Friday morning walking along Front Street. They say he's 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighs about 180 pounds, and was last seen wearing black pants, a blue jean jacket, and a black ball cap. Authorities say he wears black framed glasses and could need his prescription medications. Now, if you have any information about Leno's whereabouts, you're asked to contact the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. A vicious storm that smacked the central and eastern U.S. Friday will continue today with heavy rain, snow, and dangerous coastal flooding in New England. Meanwhile, a brutal blast of Arctic air is spreading south and east through the central U.S. on the heels of this storm. Rick Damagilla shares how this comes just days before the Iowa Republican caucus. Candidates are canceling events due to the life-threatening cold and wind.
Old Man Winter is roaring its frosty head across the United States. 35 states face weather advisories or warnings from storm systems stretching from California to Maine. Back-to-back winter storms are bringing life-threatening wind chills and heavy snow across the Midwest.
Buying some salt for my driveway so it doesn't get too icy. Got shovels and gloves and boots, and yeah, I'm ready for it.
More than 240 daily cold temperature records could be tied or broken across the U.S. through Tuesday. The weather is also wreaking havoc on the NFL playoffs. New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced that Sunday's Bills-Steelers game in Buffalo has been postponed.
The NFL has agreed with our assessment that we need to postpone tomorrow's playoff game until 4:30 p.m. Monday afternoon.
And with just days to go to the Iowa Republican caucus, candidates are urging supporters to brave the weather conditions and support them.
I'm a Florida boy, born and bred, and yet here I am in negative temperatures. I am not going to be canceled. If people are willing to come out and hear from me, I'm going to show up all the way until the end of this caucus.
It's going to be negative 15, but I'm going to be out there. And I want you to go out there. Monday matters. Your voice matters.
Monday's Iowa caucus will be the coldest on record as the 2024 presidential election season begins. Rick Damagella, 10 News, working for you.
And as for your forecast here at home, some powerful winds today, but luckily not as cold as it is out there in Iowa and some of the Midwest. Meteorologist Marshall Downing joins us now. Marshall, is that wind going to continue for us?
Well, for a little while at least, and I think we are still windy tomorrow, but it's not quite as bad as what we've had through last night and into today. A lot of our winds currently are coming from the west, and that's generally, in Roanoke, it's technically coming from the north, but the prevailing wind system is coming from the west with that same system that's causing all that cold and snow further into the western part of the country. Hot Springs at 24 miles per hour right now, Wytheville at 17 and Danville at 13 with temperatures that are mostly above 32, although Wytheville's down at 28, Blacksburg's 32 itself, Lewisburg down towards 25. All of us are feeling colder than it actually is because of that wind chill. And zooming out further, you can see just how much cold is working its way into the center of the country. Anytime it gets purple on the map, that's when you really know that it's getting chilly. Kansas City down towards -3, and they have extra time to cool down before that game starts. -4 in Denver, -7 in Casper, 0 in Minneapolis. Now, it is a lot better as you get further down towards the south in Texas. Looking cold in Columbus, or throughout a lot of Ohio right now as well. Most of us are staying dry right this minute, but the snow that's developing in Missouri and parts of Illinois is going to push further off towards the east. I don't think we get too much snow for tomorrow, but it is looking like we'll get some going Monday into Tuesday. These amounts aren't going to be crazy. Most of us are going to stay under 3 inches of snow, but it does look like it's going to accumulate in a different way than that ice storm did last time. This one looks like more legit actual building up snow. That will probably get towards 1-2 inches for a lot of us. After that passes through to the east, we get a lot of that cold. I don't think we're going to be Kansas City, Casper, Minneapolis cold, but we're not exactly going to be nice through the middle part of the week. Stick around. Later on, I'll show you what our temperatures are going to play out like and more about our upcoming snow system. Back to you, Sydney.
Thank you, Marshall. And with the weather and the continued grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX 9, both are wreaking havoc on air travel in the U.S. According to the website FlightAware, at least 1,100 flights into, out of, or within the U.S. have already been canceled as of Saturday today at 1 o'clock. Now, that also includes the more than 300 combined U.S. flights that Alaska and United Airlines have canceled. But as a winter storm continues to impact large portions of the country, the number of cancellations will likely increase as the day goes on. The Federal Aviation Administration will audit the Boeing 737 MAX 9 production line and its suppliers, focusing on quality control. Now, the announcement comes a week after the dramatic in-flight door plug blowout on an Alaska Airlines flight, which has been sent to the NTSB Materials Laboratory in D.C. Now, the FAA's administrator said the audit will assess safety risk around delegated authority and quality oversight. He says the FAA is exploring the use of an independent third party to oversee Boeing's inspections and its quality system. There's no mention of when the 737 MAX 9 will return to service. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is renewing calls for the release of hostages being held by Hamas. The New York Democrat spoke at a rally Friday to mark 100 days of captivity for the hostages.
I am using my power as majority leader to do everything to bring them home. I have talked to the president and the chief of staff and national security advisors. We are not going to let anyone in Washington forget the hostages until they are all home.
Hamas has killed 1,200 people on October 7th of last year and took hundreds of hostages. More than 100 hostages are likely still being held by the terror group. A New River Valley hero, father, and husband is battling terminal cancer with a whole community rallying behind him. Jeremy Thompson is a Christiansburg and Radford firefighter and EMT who's been fighting cancer for 3 years. This morning, his colleagues in Radford hosted a benefit breakfast and raffle drawing. The breakfast was a way to raise money to help him with his medical bills from his cancer treatments.
All I can say is thank you, but you know, no matter what you're going through, don't give up. Have the mentality, well, I'll quit tomorrow, you know, and when tomorrow gets here, just keep having that mentality. I'm not quitting today, I'm going to quit tomorrow. And you know, just stay as positive as you can.
Now, this is not the first time the community has shown support for Compton. Departments have also fundraised by selling T-shirts. Still ahead, fighting against chronic absenteeism, what the Virginia Department of Education is doing to help school systems across the Commonwealth. The Virginia Department of Education has created the Office of Behavioral Health to help address chronic absenteeism in our school systems. Now, this is a virtual one-stop shop to address the mental health needs of students. A parent reaches out to the office and then can be referred to any services they might need. Now, the department also plans on providing its own mental health services, including telehealth.
What we know is that often students are experiencing chronic absenteeism because of underlying mental health issues or other barriers to school. So it makes a whole lot of sense for the person who supports mental health issues to be sitting right next to the person who's thinking about chronic absenteeism and helping students and families re-engage with school.
In addition to supporting mental health, the Virginia Department of Education is creating a task force that will revise how special education operates in schools. Coming up, people preparing to plunge, what you need to know about this cool and cold fundraiser. Here's a live look from our Virginia Tech Skycam. Look at that beautiful sunset over there in the corner coming up down behind the mountains. Coming up on 10 News at 6, Marshall will have another look at your forecast. Well, the countdown is on for the 2024 New River Polar Plunge, which raises money to benefit the athletes and programs of Special Olympics Virginia. And it is Southwest Virginia's largest fundraiser for Special Olympics. And it helps support more than 14 sports, tournaments, and competitions local athletes participate in. The organization provides athletes with intellectual disabilities a chance to gain valuable skills both on and off the playing field.
The teams like to create a theme, so that's good, but you don't have to. You can just get cold, and you can, a lot of people will say less is more in terms of going in the water. The more clothes you have on, the longer you stay cold, so you can go in a bathing suit or you can go in a costume.
I get cold just looking at those videos. This year's plunge is happening Saturday, February 17th at Bissett Park in Radford. And if you would like to nominate your favorite WSLS anchor to take the plunge, sign up to become an insider and vote for them. And I think I am actually on that list, which I'm very scared for, so don't vote for me.
The 10 News Weather Authority, always watching and tracking for you from the JES Weather Center.
Hopefully it's just warmer than it will be a little later on this week. Now there is some snow up towards the north. I think this West Virginia radar site is thinking too hard. It's not really snowing too much there. But further up towards the north, this snow that stretches from Minnesota down towards the southern border of Missouri is a little bit more legitimate. That's spread further towards the east. So there is some in Pennsylvania, some up into New York, and it's a lot more noticeable as you get into Ontario and to Quebec. I know it's French, but you think it'd be that a little bit easier to say. Further off towards the west, there's not a whole lot of snow where the absolute coldest temperatures are. We're going to get both snow and cold, so it's a little bit mix of everything. Tuesday, we ended up with about 2 inches of rain, so that was pretty significant with some flooding going on. Friday wasn't exactly as impressive. Ended up with less than 0.2 of an inch, so it really goes to show just how different these systems have been. And then this one, we get snow instead of rain like either of those, so it really is throwing some different wrenches in the plan there. Now, most of our temperatures are going to end up in the 40s again tomorrow. It's not too terribly cold. It's a little bit below average. It is January, so it makes sense for us to be cold. But we're going to notice much colder highs in the days ahead. We don't stay in the 40s too long. We're back to the mid-30s by 4 p.m. and slide back to the 20s by 8 p.m. Once we get down there, it's going to be harder and harder for those temperatures to get to the 40s over the next couple of days. I'd expect a lot of highs in the 30s and some even in the 20s before this week is out. The biggest thing you need to know for tomorrow is that we still have a good amount of wind to go with that colder air. So not only do we have gusts up towards 30 miles per hour for parts of the afternoon, but on top of that, we have it combined with plenty of cold air. That's going to end up feeling like a lot extra cold on top of what the temperature already is because of the wind chill. And it doesn't get much better as we get towards the evening. Usually the winds come down at least a little bit, and we do have that. Gusts go from around 32 into the upper teens, but it's still not exactly feeling very comfortable. Rain chances and technically precipitation chances in this case are going to go up a little bit each day. Might be pieces of snow in the mountains on Sunday, a little bit more on Monday. Tuesday is when it's looking the most robust, but I think it's kind of a Monday night into Tuesday situation. And after that, we're able to dry out. So on the future tracker, again, some mountain snow, maybe a little bit further towards the southeast, but nothing exactly impressive. Clouds do build up as Sunday goes along, and that's going to prevent us from warming up quite as much as we could, part of what prevents us from getting towards average. Pretty dry for Monday morning, but still cloudy. Once about 1, 2 o'clock rolls in, we start to see our first snowflakes, and then it spreads further towards the northeast around 5 p.m. Kind of the same timing that we had with our last rain system, but this one's coming in as snow because it's consistently cold throughout the atmosphere. Through about 11 p.m. on Monday, we've still got some consistent snow. It does break up a little bit more on Tuesday. So while it was looking like Tuesday was going to be a little bit more biased towards the snow, it's kind of pushing earlier on. I think a lot of it is taken care of as we get kind of late on Monday. And then Tuesday, we've still got pieces left over. Temperature-wise, Sunday, like I was saying, stuck in the upper 30s down to the low 40s. South side gets a little bit warmer, but then on Monday, we can't warm up quite as much with cold air coming in and plenty of cloud cover. So in particular tonight, with our temperatures getting down into the 20s, it will feel colder because we are still windy. Blacksburg's at 29, Danville's at 29, and Lexington's at 30. Not a lot of variation throughout the temperatures tonight. And Sunday afternoon will have more variation than what we're seeing. Hot Springs at 28, Pulaski at 34, Danville at 46, even South Boston up at 53. But Monday's going to be a much different story with colder temperatures on the way. A lot of us just kind of stay in the mid 30s, some upper 30s, and then we've got extra cold as we get beyond that. So Tuesday hits, we're in the mid 30s, upper 30s, or low 30s rather, for Wednesday with some sunshine. That'll actually make it feel a little bit nicer. I think we've got some wind to go along with that, so it's not going to be super pleasant, but the wind is going to get better by Wednesday and Thursday. Friday brings another small system headed our direction, still looking on the cold side for that. Saturday, highs are just above the freezing point with lows down to the teens. We got quite a few days with lows in the teens next week.
Yeah, time to bundle up.
Seriously.
Like, it hasn't been time to bundle up, but now it's like bring out like a third and fourth layer on top of it.
Because we had some temperatures in January up to like the 50s, and I think some places even got the 60s. So it's been a lot of up and down. This is somewhat typical, but even still pretty well below average for this time of year.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was up at Snowshoe this past couple of days, and it was, as you can imagine, a lot colder up there. And then I got home this morning, I got out of the car, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so warm here. When relatively, it's all in comparison. So.
Yeah, it's so weird how it just ends up, you want it to stay nice when you feel it, especially after you've traveled somewhere cold. And then, of course, the cold comes this way.
Yeah,
very easily.
Exactly. It followed me, so sorry, guys. Well, we are already working for you on 10 News at 11. And research shows many adults and children in the U.S. don't get the recommended amount of vitamin D. Now, we'll share the impact it has on a body and how to know if you have a vitamin D deficiency. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The family of a Korean War veteran in Pennsylvania was hoping to celebrate a milestone with a simple request: 90 cards for 90 years. Now, what his family didn't count on was the generosity of his local community.
Lori Hoy explains how social media helped them reach that goal 4 times over.
Birthday cards from Florida to California, numbering in the hundreds, are displayed on the living room floor at the home of Bob Baker. With stacks more, Baker opened some and read them with us.
90 years of living now, that really says a lot about the way you look at life and give it all you got.
Baker was born in 1934 in Monongahela and turns 90 on January 13th. Baker's daughters wanted to do something special for their dad on his special day.
My sisters and I wanted to get my dad 90 cards for his 90th birthday.
So Betty Gilley asked friends and family for help on Facebook, and her request went beyond expectations.
I only posted it in one group on Facebook.
Strangers from around the country sent their birthday wishes. Many thanked Baker, a Navy vet, for his service, and classes of children sent funny homemade cards.
Happy birthday, Bob. I can't believe you are turning 90. I'll bet you had a wonderful life.
For the Baker family, it's truly touching, and a birthday like no other.
I just want to thank everybody. My goodness, to take time to get a card and you know, mail it and all those sweet things that they've written to him, you know. So, yeah, it's a good birthday.
People are just so kind. Strangers, I mean, you know, from all over, getting in on this, and yeah, just kindness is a wonderful thing.
And that was Lori Hoy reporting, and man, Bob looks good for 90.
Seriously, this sounded pretty sharp. That was impressive.
Yeah, wow. I wish I could have sent him a birthday card.
Oh,
I wish
right,
I would have gotten
point.
the memo a little earlier. I'm going to send him a 91.
There
Next
you
year,
go.
Bob, I've got you.
That sounds like a plan.
Thank you guys for joining us for 10 News at 6. We'll see you back here at 11. Have a good night.